Hi
For sure.
everyone, welcome to another episode of another Dime in the Jukebox. Today, my guest is a Los Angeles-based jazz drummer, band leader, and a composer, Angelo Velasquez. Hey Angelo, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you so much for being on my show, and let's
Good.
go into the questions.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
Okay, so my first question for you is, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Uh, okay, wow, dude, you're younger than I thought you'd be. Like,
Yeah, I like also look younger than 25. Like most people think I'm like 22, 21. So yeah, I'm definitely on the younger side for sure.
yeah, well, you definitely accomplished a lot at your age. Like,
Uh,
wow, that's like really
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah. So, do you only play drums or do you play other instruments as well?
I mainly play drum kit. I also play like Latin percussion, like congas, timbal, like auxiliary percussion, and I compose on piano, but I don't like ever gig out on piano. There's like so many other better pianists out in Los Angeles than me, so I don't step in that pond, but I do write on piano.
Wow. Yeah, you really play a lot of instruments. Gosh. Um, so, you have a master's degree in jazz performance from California Institute of the Arts and a
Yeah,
bachelor's degree in jazz performance from the California State University Northridge.
yeah, that's correct. I finished my bachelor's in 2021, so that's kind of like mid COVID year, so that was like a weird graduation, and then I graduated, I guess, with my master's from Cal Arts. Yeah.
Hmm. I see. Nice. Nice. Okay. And how old were you when you first started playing drums?
I was about like two and a half or three. I think I was three.
Hmm. Wow. Yes, you said it early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, well,
Yeah.
that definitely explains like how you're like already so skilled and you have so do you have two bachelor degrees.
I have one bachelor degree. I
Oh,
just
you
want
have
season.
oh my gosh, yes, you have one bachelor's and a master's already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's awesome. So you're a jazz drummer. I'm afraid that I really don't know all that much about jazz music. And so my question is, could you tell me just like in a nutshell how your career started and how you got to where you are today?
Okay. Yeah. Let me see if I can sum it up to the best of my abilities. That's like 25 year, or I guess around 22 years of drumming. But I guess first started. My dad's also a drummer, so that's kind of like what started me down this path. Like he's a professional musician. That's what he does for a living. He teaches and he records and he gigs. So I saw my dad do it from like a very young age, and I would go to my dad's shows pretty much from as like young as I can remember till like still now and then if I have the ability to, I'll go watch my dad play. So he was my first teacher at like the age of three, and he kind of like showed me the basics, and he taught me all the way through I was 18, and I think he could tell kind of early on that I wanted to do music as well.
Mhm.
So he really stressed that like, okay, well if you're gonna do music, because my parents wanted me to go to college, then you have to either do like jazz or classical. Like you
Mhm.
don't have to be a jazz or classical musician, but you have to do one of these two styles really well so that you can go to college. Because we're not just gonna have like our kid be some like rock drummer that's like, yeah, I'm dropping out of high school, man. I'm gonna go on the road. Like they just did not want that at all. So um, I didn't like either, to be honest. I did not like either style, but I chose jazz because it at least let me play drum set. Because classical, that's different. That's like marimba and timpani and like classical snare. It's like it's its own world. It's beautiful. It's great. It's just like I knew it wasn't for me. So I started doing that. My dad started sending me to like these like jazz camps from I think the age of like 12 or 13.
Mhm.
And then the more I kept playing the style, the more I liked it. And I think what really kind of set me on this path towards, I guess, like I don't only play jazz. I do like I record and perform other styles as well. But what set me on, I guess, the jazz path, I really enjoy the people that I met when I was first playing the music, and I still like most of the people I meet through the jazz scene. I just like really love. I think they're super genuine people, super like open minded. So I think that was a big factor for me.
Mhm.
So I just kind of kept going through, I guess, like high school music academia and jazz camps and band programs, and then I decided I would give, college a shot because I wasn't even sure coming towards the end of high school if I wanted to still do jazz. I did it during, high school, but I was like, oh, well, I need to keep my end of the bargain. I need to go to college. And it was there actually in college that I was like, oh, I really love this. Because I got to play with so many high level musicians where it was like super inspiring to me, where I was like, oh my God, like I want to play with so and so and so and so. I want to play with that senior. And then, you keep playing with them, you get better, you practice a lot, and then you eventually become that like big fish in that kind of small pond of college. And then you're like, you start feeling really good about yourself. And then you jump into like the ocean, so to speak, the vast world of, professional musicians. And you're like, oh, I'm the small fish again. But then I don't know, invigorates your inspiration. Like, I want to play with that guy and that guy. And then you start working hard and you kind of just grow. And that's kind of the path I followed. I took it one step at a time. I didn't try to overshoot, even though I had like big dreams and big goals, but just kind of one step at a time. And that's kind of how I got here.
That's definitely the way to go. I mean, yeah, when you're trying to accomplish something so big, pretty much the only right way to do it is just to take it like one small step at a time.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so you have won several awards, including the 2021 Downbeat Award for Best Composition, the Roy O. Disney Scholarship, and the Herb Alpert Scholarship. What
Yeah.
was the first award you ever won, and how old were you when you won it?
Oh, I think the first award I ever won was like in middle school for like this songwriting competition that like I did not want to do at all, but like my dad was like, "You should learn how to write music." I'm like, "I don't know. I don't want to. I want to be a drummer. Drummers don't write music." Like, which was like a stupid assumption, but I was like 11 years old at that time, so I wrote a song and it won some award, and that was probably the first like musical award I'd ever won. I guess there were several rounds to that like comp to the next round because it was kind of like sketch. They like wanted publishing to my song, which I didn't know what publishing was as an 11-year-old, but my dad was like, "No, that's they're trying to like steal your music." No, so I don't know where that song's at. I'm okay with that song staying hidden, but that was probably the first award I won. It wasn't actually even for drums; it was for songwriting.
I see. And that was like a competition outside of school. It wasn't even like anything that's like school related.
It's really hard for me to remember. I know that like the
Well,
judging panel was at my middle school, but I can't remember if it was semi through the school or like an outside program. Like, but yeah, that's all I can remember. Middle school is all a blur for me. I also like very much didn't like middle school, so I think I'm kind of like subconsciously blocking it out too. But you know,
hey, dude, I don't blame you. Dude, when I was 25, I'm not, it wasn't that long ago. I'm gonna be 32 in June, but like when I was 25, like everything that happened to me, like in middle school and stuff, like even high school, like it didn't really matter, like not at all. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
by the time you're that age, you're a totally different person. So yeah, I totally don't blame you. And so what was your favorite award out of all of the like the big ones that you won?
I felt the 2021 Downbeat Award was probably the most impactful for me because that award was again actually in like composition, like songwriting,
Mhm.
and I had never really up until that point considered myself like a songwriter. I would like do it every now and then, but especially when you're in music school, they're like, and actually, all going all the way back to high school because I did my senior year, I did this really great like audition only jazz program out in downtown Los Angeles at this like at what's called the Colburn School. It's like this music conservatory, and I got to be in a group of other jazz musicians my age at the time, which was like 16, 17, and they were like all incredible writers. Like they're they're my friends like Luca Mendoza and Ethan Moffat who are like nationally acclaimed like composers and songwriters, and they were writing stuff at 17 that some people are writing at like 27 in their 30s. Like they're just like super super gifted. So pretty much when I saw their writing and how to play their music, I'm like, oh well, I'm never gonna write now. Like if this is the level of writing that a 17-year-old should be at, like I I'm not gonna do it because they're just so far ahead. But it wasn't until I got to college where I had a professor like make me start writing, where he's like, "You're not going to pass this class," even though it's like a performance class. It's just a group, like a jazz group where you play. It's kind of what we call like an ensemble class. But everyone had to write music, and I kind of like was like, "Oh, I'm a drummer. I don't write." And he's like, "Well, you're gonna write, or you're not gonna pass this class, and you need this class to graduate. So if you don't write, you're just not gonna graduate." So I started writing, and then I only wrote like one or two songs. And during COVID, when we're all kind of like locked inside, I just decided to submit the audio for one of those songs to Downbeat because they have what's called the student jazz like competition. I think that's the name of it. So that's what I submitted for, and it was just a total like I thought of it as a total like Hail Mary like half court shot. I'm like I'm not gonna get it, but like at least it gives me something to do, like to say like I did something during the pandemic, and I won it, which was like a real big surprise to me because I never really considered myself, a super strong writer. But I think what worked in my advantage too is the fact I never felt any pressure writing music as well because I just knew like I had peers that were writing like such like complex like borderline like new classical music where I'm just like okay well I'm writing a song as opposed to this big elaborate composition. So when I would write I had no pressure to be like this must be the greatest piece of music ever because in my mind I had already like heard some of the greatest pieces of music ever from my peers. So it was a very natural process, and I think that natural process has helped me continue to write and write authentically. And winning that award, I think, kind of solidified like, oh, I can write. Like I can write music, and it can be good. And people can like it. So that kind of gave me the confidence I needed to continue writing music.
Well, I think that I mean, from what you're saying, it sounds to me like you should definitely have that confidence because, like
Yeah.
someone who has won like an actual award for writing music, I feel like I mean, that pretty much solidifies the fact that you're skilled in that area. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, so like I said before, dude, you're so skilled. It's like insane. Gosh. Okay. My next question is, so you're the leader of the LA-based Latin fusion band YOCOYA. Can you please tell me how that project got started exactly and what's going on with that band at the moment?
Yeah. So yeah, my band Yokoya, we got started in like 2020. Um, I had envisioned a project like it for a while, but it just kind of like happened. It wasn't, to be honest, this super calculated thing where it's like I'm gonna write a bunch of this music and then audition all these people. It just kind of just like fell into place. Um, I would say most of the work that I did for Yokoya and like getting it started was during my master's over at Cal Arts. Because after I won that award, I wanted to start writing more music, and then I guess the next step after writing music is to perform your music with a group. And in the jazz world, it's very like commonplace to write a bunch of music and then to kind of perform it with different groups that you run and different personnel. So maybe I'll write a song and I'll play it with a trio one night, and then a six piece the next night, and then a month from then it'll be like a full big band, like a 18-piece big band, which is cool. And like you can do that, but personally for me, like before I got into jazz, I was like, and I still do I'm still am into like rock and like like Motown and stuff like that. And all those groups had like fixed personnel. It was like a band. It wasn't just like an ensemble where you got a bunch of your friends played one night and it was different configuration the next night. So I knew I wanted a band, and I knew I wanted to play my music. So those were kind of the two elements that were kind of the catalyst to what this is now. So I start writing probably in like 2021, most of the music for Yokoya. And then I get hit up randomly on Instagram um, by this lady. Her name's like Cecia, and she ran a independent film festival, and she hit me up to perform there. Just I don't honestly know how she found my account. She just did. And there's actually a miscommunication, but this miscommunication actually led to the founding of the group. Was she wanted me to perform like solo drums, so just only drums, kind of doing like improvisation for maybe like 35, I think it was like 35 or 40 minutes. But I didn't quite understand that, so I thought she was wanting me to bring a band. So all I know is, oh, I wrote a couple new songs. Let me get some guys together to play this film festival. And at that time, I kind of had a rough idea of who I wanted to be in a band with. So I just kind of reached out to each of these members individually to see, like, oh, let's see if they're even available. And luckily, all of them were. So then we went to go play that film festival. We just kind of sight read my music, which uh, is basically, I write out the music on a piece of paper and you read it for like the first time. We had not rehearsed it. We had not done any of it. We just kind of threw the dart at the dartboard and hopefully it hit bullseye. And it worked really well. The people really liked the music and we played really well together as a group, which was what I was hoping for. Because, especially with musicians, there could be people that you like playing with separately, but if you put them in a group, sometimes the group chemistry might not be there. Where it's like you may like playing with a bass player and a guitar player, but the guitar player doesn't like playing with that bass player, so you can have a lot of that weird rub. But this group didn't have that, so I was very fortunate for that. And then from there, I was like, oh, that was a fun gig. Like, let's do another one. Yeah, sure. Let's rehearse some new music. And then after a couple of times we rehearsed, we were like, it appeared to me like, okay, this is like a strong group. This is a band. I want to solidify this. I finished writing the rest of the music for our first album, which we came out with, and I did all that music on my graduation recital at Cal Arts for my master's, and I kind of double dipped. I used my master's recital as kind of like a pre-production for the recording of our album, because we did all the music and we just played it for like 2 hours straight. Um, and we just really got a chance to really hone in on what we wanted to sound like. So by the time we got to the studio, I want to say like a month or two later, we were like really solid and knew what we wanted to do. And after the recording of that, we just continued gigging and we just kind of have had forward momentum from there. Once the recording was done, I sent it out to a bunch of people and they liked the music and they shared it with a bunch of other people. And then we had some interviews and some pieces written about our music and reviews that are coming in, I think, next month, and radio features. So it was cool. It just kind of happened. It fell into place. There wasn't really any master plan. Like, I'm gonna in 6 months' time I'm gonna be here. I just kind of happened. Honestly. Yeah.
Where have you guys performed with YOCOYA? Besides that,
Oh yeah. I think yeah. Besides the film festival, we've performed at the Mint in Santa Monica, the Stowaway in downtown Los Angeles. Performed at the Goldfish in Highland Park. Uh, we performed at my friend's like Studio B. He has like a concert series, so we did that. We performed at this other concert series called the Fusion Los Angeles, and that was like actually a Christmas show, and that was like super fun. We're performing the 9th at Collage in San Pedro, um, and we're tentatively, hopefully, it pans out, potentially playing the Detroit Jazz Festival, so that would be dope. And I think that's in June or July. I need to check the date on that, but we try to play around Los Angeles and have a couple more shows for us, like kind of solidifying dates, like in Highland Park as well. Uh, for those who don't know, Highland Park is like a really big scene right now for not just jazz, but just for like creative music, like indie rock, folk music. It's just really like, I don't know, it's the spot of Los Angeles to be. So I'm just trying to play out there as much as possible because
I
people are
should
really
definitely,
open minded.
I should
Sorry, go
definitely,
ahead.
yeah, I said that I should definitely check it out. You said it's in downtown LA, right?
Highland Park. Highland Park. So it's kind of by downtown. It's a little outside.
I
Highland Park.
Okay. Yeah, I should definitely check it out because like when I go to hear live music, my
Hmm.
like main go-to are like music venues around LA. Like obviously
Right.
some places like the Whiskey, the Viper Room, Roxy, although I haven't really gone to Roxy that much. And like also
Right.
places in Santa Monica, like I don't know, the Mint Trip, even though I haven't been to the Trip in years. I've been
Right.
to
Right. Yeah.
clubs around like the downtown LA area. Like there's this place called the Regent, I believe it is.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, I saw one. one of my friends, he was in a heavy metal band. They're now like on a hiatus, but their band like went back when they were like still technically together. Played at the Regent a couple of years ago, so that was my first time being there. So like yeah, my main go-to like places to hear live music are like small music venues, and I rarely ever go to downtown LA unless I'm going to see like a big show. Like I have been to the Crypto Arena, and I actually have
Mhm.
been there even back when it was the Staples Center. So like I
Right, yeah. Yeah.
around that area, but whenever I'm going out to a club, I mainly tend to stick to like the West Hollywood, Santa Monica area. I should venture
Right,
out
totally.
into downtown LA more.
Yeah, no, downtown's cool. It definitely has its own vibe, you know. It's always very busy, very lively. Um, you know, no parking, but there's a lot of I think hidden gems in downtown because since everything's kind of happening all at once there, it's very easy just to kind of like go by this big skyscraper building and be like, oh, that just must be like businesses or a hotel. But like the Stowaway, for example, where we did actually a record release show and kind of like party. Um, we played in this like under because the Stowaway is underground and it's underground this hotel. So if you just kind of walked by, you would see the like sign for it says the Stowaway, but you just think it's pointing inside the building. So you kind of walk inside, see a hotel lobby, and be like, oh, it's just I don't know, and just walk out. But there's a lot of like weird spots like that are like particularly underground in Los Angeles. There's like not with like my band YOCOYA, but I was like hired recently to play this like again another like really big speakeasy called the Continental Room, and that again that's like downtown. I think that's on Spring Street. Again, like underground, super dope vibes, but yeah, it's like you're the naked eye wouldn't catch it. You have to like kind of like know where you're going. So downtown's cool. I definitely like it. I think Highland Park is my favorite right now because everything's like not underground. You can see like the actual signs for the music venue and see the music venue just standing there. A lot of the music venues, like when you perform, they leave the doors open, the windows open. So if you're passing by and you hear something that you like, you can just like walk in. It's not like okay, I've played the Viper Room and that's been fun, but it's like rare. Like it's pretty well acoustically treated there. So if you walk by, you may hear some stuff through the wall, but you're not going to hear it like really clearly. You have to kind of go inside to hear the concert.
Kind of like
While
this.
in like Highland,
Yeah, it's like the
so go
same
ahead.
whiskey. Yeah, I was just about to say the whiskey a go go is like the same way because if there's a show going on inside, if you're walking like down the street, like by the club, you can actually hear like
Yeah,
some. Yeah, you can hear
totally.
some of the noise. Like it's muted, but you can definitely like tell that there's a concert going on in
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that. So the fact that like in a lot of venues in Highland Park was like leave windows and doors open where you can just like hear the full concert from outside. It's really dope because then people that like didn't have plans for that night will just like walk in and like come see you, which I think is dope. I love community and I love like natural foot traffic to new music events. So like I just think that's super sick. The fact that they like venues will just like, you know, maybe it may not be the best decision business decision on paper where it's like, oh well if you want people to listen to music they have to walk in and pay. But I think it fosters, you know, community where like people are like, oh like this part of town has really dope music and I can just walk down the street, find something new, and then go check them out and then that band has like a new fan or something. I think it's really dope.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so my next question is, so you have performed with many notable, I'm assuming that they're jazz musicians such as Josh
Yeah.
Nelson, Dante Winslow, Logan Richardson, and many others. Who would you say
Yeah.
you're collaborating with the most?
Oh wow. You know, I've played with a lot of jazz musicians. I've also been fortunate to like play with a couple musicians outside of like the jazz world too, like Pat Vegas, who's like the lead singer of Redbone, who like did that song like "Come Get Your Love," who was like
Uh,
dun, 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 dun.
I have
Like it was that big song like Guardians of the Galaxy, but like sorry, say that. What's up?
I said that I have no idea who that is. Like I know like
No,
nothing.
no, you're good, you're good. Like they're from like the '70s, but like they're
Oh,
like this big like they had like that big they had a really big hit, "Come Get Your Love." It's like in all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and stuff. Um, and it was really inspirational to get to play with him because I've listened to his music since I was a kid, so it was like, and like it happened randomly. Like I got the call on I think a Tuesday to come record with him on a Friday, so it was just like, yeah, sure. I didn't have time to like really be in my own head and to freak out about it, so that was like a really cool experience to get to talk to him and to really bond with him in the studio. As far as I guess getting back to the jazz musicians that I've gotten to perform with, um, I recently got to work with Josh Nelson. That was about like maybe a month ago or so,
Oh,
and he's awesome. I've listened to Josh since I was in middle school. He's an incredible pianist who's played with a bunch of jazz greats from like Benny Golson to like many others. And for those who don't know, Benny Golson's like one of like was part of the founding of what's called bebop, which is like one of like the main uh, jazz subgenres. So like this guy Josh has backed up like one of like the big heavyweights of that music. So getting to play with someone that had like so much experience, but also so much like flexibility in how he played. Because this was our first time playing together. I just called him because I knew I wanted to play with him, so I kind of took the leap of faith and I was like, "Hey, hi, I got your number through so and so. I'm a big fan of yours. Want to do a gig? Like I can guarantee you this amount of money." And he was down to just play with a total stranger, which is I'm lucky for because I like hit up some other people like earlier that month because I was like, oh, I want to play with a couple of these people, and some didn't return my calls, some did, but they were busy. They're like, I'm gonna be in Europe till the end of the month. So Josh, who was one of the first people I hit up, was down for it, and getting to play with him was a really incredible experience because like in jazz, there's a lot of like improvisation and stuff happening on the fly, and I felt Josh's playing and my playing like just worked really well with each other, which that's what you hope for, but it could have easily have been where it's like he and I got along well, but our playing didn't. Our musical, where we're coming from could have been two separate places, and it could have just not vibed. But
that,
we did, and that was a really incredible experience. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
So,
I was just saying that like you guys have like different styles musically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like most musicians have like their own like unique style. There may be some similarities, but for the most part, I think it's like rock coming from like the same like a jazz vocabulary, then we build on top of it and we add other elements of different musics that we like.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think Josh's style and my style just kind of meshed really well, so I'm fortunate enough for that.
Yeah. Okay, great. Have you ever collaborated with any non-jazz performers?
Yeah, Pat Vegas being one of Redbone. The other one is this rapper, IDK is his name.
Mhm.
I got to play with him 2023, I think, or 2022. I think it's 2023. I got to play with him twice. One, he was his record release show, and also car release show, which is gnarly. He had a deal with Mercedes Benz, so we got to play at the Mercedes Benz dealership he rented out in I think Beverly Hills, and he released a bunch of his new music and his new car, race car, that was going to be hitting the track I think later that month. So that was a cool experience. That was like my first time playing with like I guess a high profile rapper because I've done some stuff with like hip hop artists before, but it's mostly been like more underground stuff at small hip hop clubs. So to play with someone that like has like hundreds of thousands of followers was like really cool. I really enjoyed it. Then I played with him one more time over at the Peppermint Club, I think again in Beverly, and he co-hosted a show with Dave Chappelle. So I got to play with both him and then like Dave Chappelle wanted to do some karaoke, so I like weirdly musically accompanied Dave Chappelle, which was like really dope because I've watched like the Chappelle show since I was like a kid. Like my dad had the CDs and I would like sneak them when he wasn't around and like watch them. So I always thought he was hilarious. And getting to hear like a set of his like stand up comedy was like incredible. Like he's definitely like one of the greatest for sure. So that was a really like dope experience, and seeing like a bunch of other like celebrities in the audience too was like a wild experience too. Like that, I think he's like mainly a songwriter, but that that guy Beck, like the
Yeah,
rock
absolutely.
rock. Yeah, yeah. So he like Beck was like front row, and like that other comedian like Tiffany Haddish, And like there's a lot of comedians there. So also like a Kingfish, he was there too. Um, uh, oh shit, what was his name? There's another rapper that came in to sit in with us. Oh fuck, what was his name? I want to say it was Bilal, but it wasn't. But there was someone else that like came in and sit in with us that was like also really big in the hip hop scene. So it was really dope to like have that experience to perform. I guess with entertainers of that high profile.
Nice. Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've had so many collaborations. It's insane. And you have
Thanks.
also performed at many prestigious jazz festivals, such as the
Yeah.
Newport Jazz Festival, the Monterey Jazz Festival, the Jazz at the Lincoln Center, and the Greek Theater, which, by the way,
Yeah.
is awesome because, like, the Greek Theater, it's my number one. It's like my favorite venue in LA to like go and see
Hell
theater.
yeah.
I love the Greek theater. I haven't been there in a while, but it's definitely like one of my goals to go and see a show there, like as soon as possible.
Totally.
So, what was the first festival that you ever played? And yes, what was the first like big festival that you ever played?
That would be the Newport Jazz Festival,
Mhm.
and I was 16 or 17 when I did that. I got the opportunity through the Berkeley, like kind of like Berkeley School of Music. I did what's called their like global jazz camp, where they got like a bunch of different musicians from around the world. I would say like half were from the U.S. and the other half from like countries such as, if I can remember, it was like Puerto Rico, Panama, Scotland, and a couple, and oh, I think was it Germany or Holland, one of those two, where they just got like a bunch of kids from different countries and like kind of put them together and we're like, hey, we want to kind of support like global unity through music. So we're gonna put a bunch of you guys together. You're gonna represent your respective countries, and you're gonna have, I think it was a week or two to kind of get some music together, and then we'll throw you up and perform. And it was run by this great uh, jazz pianist named Danilo Perez. Danilo is like he's done a lot of stuff, but he's mostly known for like playing with Wayne Shorter, who's like one of like the greatest jazz composers and sax players of all time. So getting to work with him and his compatriots who are also like super heavyweights was like incredible, especially as like a 16-year-old. Because being a teenager in music, especially at like I don't know, I guess at like that level of playing where you're sounding really advanced for your age, it's really like humbling and inspiring to be with like like grown men that are like actually like the real badasses, and you realize like, oh, I can't play shit. Like that's what good sounds like, and I don't sound good at all. Like that's what good sounds like. So it was like really cool to be simultaneously inspired by other really great musicians, but also like inspired and humbled by like true like full-time professionals playing on a international level where it's like I have a long way to go. I have such a long way to go, but like in the most positive way. It's like I know I can get there, but it's gonna be a long journey. So that was
Yeah, it's
my
like
first like
inspiring.
festival experience.
Nice. Yeah, obviously
Yeah,
it's
totally.
inspiring for you too. But I think that you were definitely sounds like you were selling yourself short when you were saying how like, well, I started advanced for my age, but compared to those people,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that like I'm not as advanced as I thought I was. But as long as you also
Mm-hmm.
like find it really humbling to actually like even play on the same bill as such advanced musicians, well, yeah, basically the bottom line is it sounds to me like, dude, you've accomplished so much like at such a young age. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
really
I've been very fortunate. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
okay. And so I don't yeah, I don't think that I asked you this yet, but what was your like your favorite music festival experience? Like your favorite festival you ever played at? And maybe you did answer that.
Probably like Newport, probably because one, it's my first experience doing it, so it's like everything's new. You're like, whoa, festival, whoa, everything, music's happening everywhere, people, Plus, you're like really young too. There weren't like a whole lot of people like our age, our being like I guess my Berkeley class then. So like we were some of the only like teenagers there. So once we were done performing, it's like, all right, kids, good job, run along. The rest of the day is yours. Like, we're not monitoring you anymore. Bye. So we were like, whoa. So we were, like, me and my friends are like running around this festival, and we got to hear so many like great musicians and artists, and we're just running around like Rhode Island, Newport, which we have like for me, like I had never left the state at that point, so I was just like tripping out. I'm like, whoa! It felt like I was on the other side of the world, which like, well, even though like it puts in perspective how big the U.S. is, but still like, it's not like it's still the U.S. It's Rhode Island, but it was still like super dope for me, and getting, I guess, that teenage independence plus like the experience of the jazz festival, watching it and then performing it. It was just a really cool experience. It was very formative for me, and I think that was like a, I don't know, core memory for me, as and core motivational spark for me to be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I'm going to keep going.
Okay, yeah. By the way, like speaking of being out of state, were you born in California?
Yeah, no, I was born at, I think, Ventura Hospital. So like, I'm like a Ventura County kid. I'm like born. I was raised an hour outside of Los Angeles, even though like pretty much all my work now is in Los Angeles, and I definitely consider myself like a Los Angeles resident, which is like a very like Los Angeles transplant thing to say, like, oh, I'm from Los Angeles, even though you're like not. But I just have so much experience in LA that like I feel very at home
Mhm.
there, which is cool because Ventura County is kind of like very much suburbia, and people in Ventura County can be like live their entire life not leaving the county and be like completely fine with that. They'll just like a 15-minute drive to like a different city for them is like, woo, that was a crazy drive there. So just to be in like a big metropolis all the time is, I love it. I love it. I like, because I love people, and there's a lot of people in a big city, so this gives me that opportunity.
Great. Um, so, I met you when I saw you play in a jazz trio at a bar in Brentwood called the Old Fella. Actually, my
Yeah,
friend
yeah.
Maestridge plays guitar in that trio. He was the one who invited me to that gig, and that's how I found out that you guys play there like every single Monday night. Do you guys
Yeah.
still do that?
Yeah, we play like every other Monday night.
Oh,
We went from every Monday to every other Monday. I
mhm.
guess the club is trying to get like more like music going, which I think is great. So we kind of like alternate. So I think this coming Monday we are playing again. So I guess that would be the what, the fourth? What is it? Let me look at my calendar. That's the fifth. Yeah, the fifth. I think we're playing. So we play every other Monday, and we do like a mixture of like some jazz standards, but we also do a lot of like R&B and like rock stuff. But we do it instrumental. But the bass player, who's like a friend of mine, going all the way back to high school, actually, he and I both did that like music program in like downtown Los Angeles over at that music conservatory Colburn. Like, bass player Spencer, man, and he's a great singer. So he like sings a bunch of stuff too, and so we have like a pretty eclectic, I don't know, variety of music that we play.
I see. Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, I should definitely go and see one of your shows again because, like, I know that I went like right before the New Year's. I started going to your Monday night shows in November. I think maybe like sometime around Thanksgiving, and then like around the winter holidays, I started having a lot of stuff going on with. I finished up my associate's degree. I moved to a new
Great.
apartment. I had a lot of stuff going on, so I didn't really have like much time to go out. But
No, for sure.
I should
Yeah.
definitely go out and like see you guys again because I literally live like just a 10-minute walk away from the old fella. So like it's really easy for me to
Sure.
just like walk in and see your show.
Oh, that's super cool. That's, yeah. Like Dylan's really good at like, I think he knows a lot of people in that area. So each time I meet someone new, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm a friend of Dylan's." They're like, "Yeah, I live like 5 minutes away. I live like 8 minutes away." It's like, damn, that's crazy. Like, because I, weirdly enough, that part of town, I don't know a whole lot of people there, so I don't know like that area very well. I used to have be a part of like a residency on, I guess, like the other side of the freeway, like towards like on Rodeo Drive and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like it was with this like TikTok singer, which is like, she was like super great. It was cool. It was just like, it sounds like funny for me to say like I was playing with a TikTok singer, not just a singer. I have to like justify it, but like that's where that's where she popped off on, So I know like the other side of that town really well, but I guess that side of Wilshire is kind of like eludes me. I just don't know that area super well. So I think it's cool that so many people come out from there because I'm like, oh, a lot of people must live here. Like I haven't seen like a lot of apartments or houses there because I only really drive on that side to go to Oldfellow, which is like mostly businesses, but I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff like if you keep driving down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if you
Yeah.
like honestly behind that whole area on Wilshire where you have like a whole bunch of businesses and restaurants and stuff, there's like this there's a lot of suburban areas over there. Yeah, and
Mhm.
so like I'm not
Right.
surprised that you have like a lot of people who live in this area who come to Old Fellow on Monday nights. But
Mhm.
I'm honestly like a little bit surprised that Dylan knows so many people around here because last
Yeah.
time I think he lived somewhere like close to Hollywood Forever. I think I don't think he lives
Oh,
in this
sure.
area specifically. So that's why I was like a little bit surprised that you say he knows so many people around here. But yeah,
Right.
I
Yeah.
should definitely like go and see one of your shows sometime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometime
Yeah.
soon.
Come on by.
What's that band
Yeah.
called again? I
Oh,
can't.
the band?
Yeah, the band.
Oh, it's called. No, don't worry. It's like people always have their own like pronunciations of it. It's YOCOYA. Um, it's an old Nahuatl word. So like Nahuatl's like Aztec. And the word itself means joy of creation,
Mhm.
and that's what I get when I play with my band, and that's what I get when I'm playing with my brothers on the bandstand there. So that I thought that was a fitting name. Plus, it lets me tap into like my own Mexican heritage too. So I chose, I guess, that Aztec word, not Nahuatl word, Yokoya, to be our band name.
I see.
Yeah.
And when did your jazz trio get together?
The jazz group. When did that get together?
No, not the trio, not the jazz group, but the trio that you played with
Oh,
out.
that plays Alpha. Oh yeah. That definitely happened last year. Oh man, I can't remember if it happened in like what's the thing. Maybe it was like October or November. Um, Spencer, the bass player, hooked me up with it. I think Dylan got the gig, or Spencer helped hook it up with Dylan, and they're looking for a bass or a drummer. And Spencer and I honestly hadn't like communicated a whole lot. We like kept in touch via social media, but we hadn't like hung out since high school, really. So he kind of just reached out via DM. Was like, "Hey, like it's been a while. Would you be interested in this? It's on Monday nights." And I was down because usually like I feel like a lot of music doesn't happen on Monday nights because the week has just started. People are back to work. People just kind of want to like get their job over, and then go home and just get ready for Tuesday. So usually I don't think there's a whole lot of stuff happening Mondays. So because of that, I had the availability to do it. So I was like, yeah, like I got to kick it with you again. I got to play some music and make some money and just go out on a Monday night. Sure, why not? So that's how it kind of came about.
Nice. Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna come and see you guys play again, like as soon as I can, because it's been a while. And
Sure, yeah.
yeah, so is there anything else you'd like to like add in conclusion?
Add on my what? Sorry.
Is there anything else you'd like to add in conclusion? Because like I would ask you like
Yeah,
all the questions that I have for you.
for
So
sure,
is
for
there
sure.
anything else you'd like to say?
Anything? I don't know. I was kind of like, I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for having me. I didn't really like come on with like a certain like agenda. Like I need to get this across. Like when I'm on, like when I'm on this interview, this is my message. Like I just wanted to have a good conversation, kind of cut it up a bit, and I think we did that, and it was cool. And I enjoyed being on this show and talking to you through Zoom. I haven't been on Zoom in like forever. Like I had to do it during like COVID school, but haven't really like touched it since then. So to reopen the software was pretty cool, I guess. The blast from the past. So yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem, no problem. Wow, dude, you have definitely had such an extensive career. Like
Oh,
it's
thank you.
insane.
Oh,
And thank
thanks.
you so much for being on my show. Like you're
Of course.
so
Yeah.
freaking accomplished that I definitely like I feel freaking proud that I got the chance to talk with you. And like I said,
Thank you.
I'll come and see you guys play as soon as I can.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I would love to see you there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, take care. Bye bye.